Stefanutti has slipped to a full-year headline loss per share of 96 cents. Stefanutti also received notice of the proposed penalty by the Competition Commission and has provided 323 million rand for this. And joining us now to discuss the results further is the company's CEO, Willie Meyburgh. Thanks so much, Willie, for joining us today. Well, we wish it was under better circumstances, but the company moving into a loss position and a 40% decline in earnings coming through even before the Competition Commission fines, are taken into account. So if you're looking at things on a normalized headline earnings per share, still in a very distressed position. How are you feeling right now, sitting atop a construction company operating in South Africa?
I'd just like to clarify something, because on year-on-year results, we are down 40%, as you mentioned, but for the second part of the year, we actually had a very good performance.
So it's a tale of two halves that we're looking at right now.
Yes, and we received late last Friday afternoon notification from the Competition Commission that they have a proposed settlement agreement of 323 million rand, and we decided to incorporate that into our results this year. And I think as we're currently looking at the proposed settlement agreement, we're obviously looking at our options, and we will have to return to the Commissioner fairly soon on that. But I think the encouraging thing is what the part of the proposed agreement was there also payment terms that one can deal with, and that we also need to finalize and discuss with them. Now, we're certainly in a position where part of the money we will borrow, and we are in a position to do so. And I think it won't put the company in a problem area where we say now we put it under pressure. So, but in terms of the market is still competitive out there. We see that the loss-making projects, that really had a negative impact on our books this year, especially in building where we had problem projects in inland, in Gauteng, and also in Mozambique. The important thing is those projects are now behind us, and we can look forward and to a positive result in building.
And hopefully with lessons learned. So let's take a look at what went wrong. I mean, how you get to loss-making contracts in the first place, and how you look to mitigate against that risk now moving forward, now that you say it's behind you.
Yes, I think at the time when we priced for that project, we thought that the market was going to take a bigger dip, and we priced the building projects especially at very low margins. We probably took on too many at low margins, and it backfired us. So it was partly as a result of the execution, project overruns. And if you just look at the penalties that we have paid in building, it is in excess of the loss of 40 million rand that we show for the full year. So I think we have really been penalized, but we've learned a lot of lessons as well. The work that we're taking on at the moment are at much better margins, and we are certainly not chasing turnover.
It's interesting that you say at better margins, because you're still looking at things being very competitive in this space. So even where you look at an order book standing at 10 billion rand like you are, quality of that order book has come into question. So let's take a look at where your margins are sitting right now and the pricing power you hold within what is a very competitive landscape.
I think the important thing to us is the mix of the order book improved dramatically. Just as a typical example of that, a year ago, the order book in roads, pipeline and mining, which is one of our business units, was 1.8 billion rand. That order book now is 3.1 billion rand. The building order book in the total scheme of things within a business is now much less than in the whole business, with the result that we're gaining order book in areas where we find the better margin projects, and we're getting them at reasonable prices. We also have priced some work recently and also obtained some work over border. If you look at approximately 25% of our turnover comes from outside South Africa, approximately a third of our operating profit comes from South Africa. So it still pays us to work over border, and we're pursuing that all the time.
Yeah, having said that though, even across border, we've got challenges coming to the fore, and that highlighted with regards to your operations in Mozambique as well. Do you think that you've underestimated that playing field specifically, because you've seen loss-making projects come to the fore there, and that caused by overruns in the inland and Mozambique as well?
Yeah, I think the Mozambique operation, it was part of the whole building business unit. The same scenario was followed there, where they've taken on projects that at too low prices. We have worked our way out of the price, out of those low margin projects, those loss-making projects, and they're out of the system. The projects that we're now getting awarded in Mozambique are at better prices. So Mozambique is not a problem to us. The fact that we priced incorrectly and we executed it badly, that's a problem, and that's been rectified.
What puts you in that position, specifically on the building side of things, is overcapacity. So let's take a look at that situation as you view it right now, and when you see that overcapacity situation normalizing.
The overcapacity, I think currently we are still a net employer. For example, in roads, power plants and mining, we're still employing people. In building, we've stabilized that some people left our company. It is of concern in our structures business unit where the order book has gone down. So we can definitely see that that the work is now going backwards there in terms of the order book. We previously relied a lot on mining infrastructure work, and we also relied on state-owned companies. We can definitely see there's less of that coming to the marketplace, and that is why we're following the route of finding more work cross-border. There are good opportunities in northern Mozambique where the proposed gas field development will happen. We've positioned ourselves quite well there. We've already doing some work for the client on this establishing their sites there, and we believe within 12 to 18 months there will be good opportunities coming from there.
What about exploring other avenues? Because if we're looking at the one bright spot that does emerge on your results today, SICAD Pipelines, and that acquisition seems to have paid off quite handsomely and seems to have done well. So is that motivating on your end shifts, to down other avenues and with less of a focus on buildings, for example?
Well, I think the business is pretty well diversified because we've got structures. Their turnover is about 2.5 billion. We've got the roads, power plants and mining. Their turnover is about 2.3. We've got building about 3.5 billion. We've got the oil and gas that recently started. We started that about a year or so ago, and they're doing very well. There's some good opportunities lying ahead of them. There's also some project awards lying ahead of them. So I think we're pretty well diversified. We certainly don't have an appetite at the moment to buy anything. We need to settle down the business, and we need to come back to a profitable situation, and then we'll take it from there.